This morning, Gustav Kalber of the European Commission invited your active participation in Destination Earth. That was, I think, one of the key messages he brought, and I will now endeavor to tell you how that is done. So one of the key innovations of Destination Earth, at least the key ambition, is to bring impact sector models closer to the Earth system models. So interaction, both of the models, but also of the corresponding user communities, since these impact sectors are where the users live, in a sense, and it's also where users interact and often bring their own infrastructure. So this is what we're endeavoring, and this is why we're also having this event so early in the process. As you've seen from several of the previous presentations, many of these activities are in procurement and development, so there's nothing that we can really, there's no live system that you can log into today and use the services, download the data. This is all coming, but we're engaging with stakeholders broadly early on to really put life into the co-design paradigm that Destination Earth is aiming at. Users, of course, are very different in their technical maturity. This morning, the framing sessions, we've had users and potential users or interested stakeholders from the policy realm that will be looking at Destination Earth differently than scientists supporting agencies implementing a policy. So we're aiming at trying to differentiate between these user types, although of course, we've had many discussions about the slide in terms of how you fillet this, and you can cut this different ways, but the key message here is that really we want to talk to the different categories of users in different ways, trying to find the level at which we can best interact, understand the needs, and feed them into the process. Sometimes that will be very direct, sometimes it will be through other stakeholders that translate needs, requirements, systems from one level to the other. The approach that we've agreed on taking for the start can be presented as two pillars. And that one is the open stakeholder engagement, where we're really trying to engage broadly all types of users, interested parties, some of them more technical, some of them less technical, understanding how they want to interact with the initiative. And one of them is more targeted, where we're really working on specific technical implementations, be it federating additional data sources, be it implementing use cases jointly. So really working on technical elements. The right column will probably require resources on all sides, both the entities implementing Destination Earth with EU funding, but also the stakeholders bringing additional resources. Need not be financial resources, but certainly manpower. And the open stakeholder dialogue is really sort of gauging the interest, recruiting, building the user community. And I'll go in a little more detail on the following slides. So the open stakeholder dialogue really is what we're doing today. So bringing people together, bringing you on board, essentially. We're trying to make this, or intending to make this, a regular event, so we can, come back and see progress and progress together. Because our understanding of co-design is that we're building Destination Earth as an initiative, but also as a system jointly. Of course, we need to be present at where our communities live. We cannot expect people to always come to us, but we want to go and visit them at the conferences, at workshops where sometimes very topical, sometimes more broadly science. So there'll be a session at the EGU conference, for example, and further are planned. And of course, also supporting national activities. Several member states are already creating structures in which to help us really get into the sort of finer grains of the national administrations and communities to reach them. So there are national events, sometimes even national funding programs to accompany Destination Earth development. So we'll certainly developing supporting that element. There are regular governance bodies, of the 3 E's, but also the ones especially for Destination Earth, created by and then shared by the European Commission. And then there's, of course, more technical cooperations with related initiatives. That could be Horizon projects, that could be nationally funded activities. Key element in terms of these events, if you do have anything that where you see value in us supporting that, where you think there are relevant communities where we could help you reach into those communities, please come and talk to us. I mean, there's many of us here in the room, and I don't think we're hard to find, so you know, that is an invitation and an offer that I want to make. I then move on to use cases. Use cases is where a lot of the co-design lives, really. So we implement a number of them. ECMWF has contracted several of those, and you've seen some of that this morning, but you'll also see some more of that in the next session. ESA is preparing to implement further use cases, and that's really where Destination Earth features are presented and become tangible, also to be shared, and maybe to inspire potential further users. So this is for our user groups to understand what will be possible, and foreshadow that a little bit to the extent that we can, even early on. So of course these focus on what is going to be better or is getting better already. It focuses on different domains, and it's also one of the elements that we manage with these use cases, that we do actually engage with user communities beyond those that are already engaged. And of course, all of these use cases don't duplicate use cases and activities that have been done in other contexts, but they really feature on the added value. There's different contracts through which these are implemented at the moment. 2 of them were presented this morning in the digital twin on climate adaptation, digital twin on extremes. We had a separate procurement on use cases where we're looking at different groups and different implementations. Some of them will be on the next panel. And we are planning an additional one focusing on adaptation modeling, following up on what Christiana said, expressed this morning. It's very strong interest brought forward by the European Environment Agency, implementing some of the EU strategies on climate adaptation. Then I mentioned ESA's preparing best practice procurements for further DestinE use cases that I will talk about later on. I think I have a separate slide on that. You saw the left part of this slide this morning. So in the on-demand extremes digital twin, there is a number of use case examples on hydrology, on air quality, and on renewable energy. I'm not going to go into much detail, but because Christian presented that this morning. In the digital twin on climate, there's 5 topics. Jenny expressed that. So really, they're implemented by different consortium partners. They are bridging to specific user communities that are already involved in these use cases. And they're really, as I showed in my first slide, making that connection of the impact sector models to the digital twin models themselves. These are the topics that we procured separately. So there is one on energy systems, resource adequacy, grid planning, and validation. There is one on air quality, coupling a regional air quality model to the extremes digital twin. There is one on flood risk management, with 5 regional hydrological models. And again, that's something that Christiana mentioned in her talk this morning, the interest in local and regional scales for climate adaptation. This focuses both on the extremes and on the climate element. 2 of the 5 regions they're addressing also have, there the users have expressed interest in the climate adaptation topic. All 5 of them have interest in the extremes management. There is one case on urban heat that you'll learn more about on the panel, and there is one on forestry and forestry application, which is focused more technically on interfacing the digital twin engine presented by Thomas this morning. So again, ESA is has contracted out the realization of the use cases, so you should expect a tender on that in the next months. That will focus, on similar aspects as the one that we have contracted, of course, with a specific focus on animating the DestinE way, so demonstrating the key features that ESA is bringing to the project. But of course, it also involves a lot of interaction with the users that will be involved in these use cases, and that is a coherent, consolidated activity between the three entities implementing Destination Earth. So there, the timing is the tender will open in late March, early April. Around that time frame, there's going to be a second round later in the year. We also have technology partnerships where we're working with the technology partners on specific topics. Also this morning in the framing, it was highlighted how important the high-performance computing side is for Destination Earth. It really just enables the running of these large models at the higher spatial resolution. So there is a contract on providing input to the strategic technology agenda, the technology adaptation towards these Euro HPC systems that we're running on, and the visualization to enable both the tangibility of the results, but also really make the interactivity real at a different level also, so really experiencing the results. There is the preparing of the technology needs with a range of stakeholders in the technology world that help us define the needs and help us understand where technology is developing. These are not really contracts. We're interacting with these stakeholders openly and often informally, but aiming for a common goal of bringing the HPC systems to bear on societal needs. This is a summary essentially of our engagement process. I've talked about the use cases, which is the first line. I've talked about the open stakeholder engagement, which is the second line. I've talked about the targeted user partnerships. We're starting today with some of that. We've started discussions with others before, but this is, the arrows don't end at the right side of the slide. Really, please do engage. Please come and find us if you have an idea, if you want to engage, and we'll find a way. Thank you.